Should I talk about nature or should I talk about scientific progress that is happening around us? And so on and so forth. So it is both an interesting area and also a challenging phase for each one of us who are in the job of marketing products to people with relevant and credible, and I stress on both the words, relevant and credible conversations with each one of you. Each one of us is a consumer, and these two parameters are extremely critical for all of us. And I will touch upon this point of paradox and trends and counter trends a little later in the presentation. Well, all those are giving hope, and India talks about hope, and we all live on hope. But there are certain realities which we need to talk, which we cannot ignore. If you look at that bar chart on the slide, it talks about consumer confidence index. Below 100 does not give us a great hope figure in front of us. We are entering into the year when there is election. We have seen what has happened in the state elections recently. There's a lot of uncertainty that is looming. We are talking about a huge demographic dividend, and my next slide talks about a little bit around employment. If the skilling, there is a lot of efforts being taken up by the government and organizations, but if skillings don't happen properly, and if we cannot provide the employment to this huge 69% of the population, then is it going to be an economic dividend for us or a big concern? I think each one of us know in our hearts what's going to happen. And anecdotally, again, somebody was talking about that, and it's not a great example to give, but I've just offhand spontaneously thought about it, that when we used to stand on a red signal waiting for it to become green, we used to see some beggars around today, and they used to ask from outside. Today we hear knocks on the windows. Tomorrow it could be as bad as it has gone in some parts of Brazil, Mexico, and South Africa. So employment and providing the right employment to this huge audience, which is going to become a core of the Indian population, becomes a critical part for the success for this country and of course us as marketeers. So all these are the pillars of change, whether it's women who are working, technology coming into play, migration of population from one part of the country to the other, infrastructural change, urbanization, education, and so on and so forth. So what becomes important for us as marketeers on an everyday basis? To identify trends, to catch those trends as early as possible so that we do not miss out on the word called relevance, which I called out. Let's look at some of these interesting trends around us. One is about convenience. I said we'll touch upon this point. Our lives have become busier more than ever before. So what is happening? We are talking about how can I maximize leisure time? How can I reduce time in doing mundane work? So do every consumer, okay, let me give you an example from the business that we are in. If you look at the entire atta wheat chain, is Ganesh sir around? Look at the, thanks, so I can probably call out some wrong numbers, nobody here to challenge. In the entire atta wheat chain, Ashirvad would be roughly around what, 3%. But we are India's largest atta brand. What are we talking about? We are talking about a huge population who are buying into wheat in this country. Let's take Bombay as a city. We are all aware of how small these houses are, how difficult it is for there to even travel. It's, Bangalore is bad, very bad. So is Bombay. But still people, a large chunk, and you would be surprised to know that it's more than 85% of the population staying in Bombay buy into wheat and not into branded atta. So they buy, they clean, and then they grind it and then bring it back home. All of these guys are actually looking out for convenience because they can utilize the time better in somewhere else. Red Bull, we would have heard this brand, and we would have seen a lot of advertisement around energy drinks and you need energy to do this, A, B, Josh. But there's a huge population who's telling us that unwind, help me de-stress. There's too much of stress around. So there is a business opportunity in de-stressing. So busy lives giving opportunity to talk about when it comes to convenience, when it comes to things around how can I be, give me methods and solutions around stamina building, around reducing stress. Personal time has become very important. My space. Now that means pampering myself. And I was talking about our parents. They don't believe in this idea called my space. I need to pamper myself. I need to indulge. These are new codes in the consumer world. Escapism. Because of the same stress, we want to escape out of this universe and listen to music, have a little nice drink, or enter into a spa, or have a chocolate, maybe. This is my space, my way of cocooning myself and coming back to work tomorrow. Of course, healthy living. I don't think we need to argue more about how important health has become as a conversation. When I was doing market research for ITC a few years back, and let's talk 2007 to 2010, and we used to hear everybody say, humko exercise karna chahiye, we should go for a walk. You know what, I go for a walk sometimes. And they were as pot-bellied as me. And actually everybody used to talk and nobody used to do anything about it. But today, there is a lot more that people are doing rather than just talking. And even people in the age bracket of 23 to 15 to 25, 30, who think they are invincible, nothing can happen to them, they are also thinking about health in a big way. And that's going beyond just good looks. But no household is only pure healthy. So there are moments in the day where you are wanting to indulge, and there are moments in the day where you want to stay healthy. So the same household buys into health products also buys into indulgence. So there is no, you cannot classify a person or a household saying, yeah, healthy household. There is nothing of that sort at all. And for this, and this is a example here, protein has become very big as a buzzword. So vitamin, minerals, calcium was a buzzword a few years back, then it became fiber, and now it is about protein. But look at the number of solutions around protein. And I've just kept the beverage solutions, no food solution here. You have a coconut water, you have milkshakes, you have vegetable juices, you have drinkable yogurts. There's plethora of choice around us. So as marketeer, we have to stand out in the solution we provide with enough credibility for you to buy into me and my solution. Fruits and vegetables, through the angle of convenience, is being provided to various people through various solutions. Let's come to another parameter called value worthiness. Just providing products at a very low price point is not just about value worthiness. It is today what matters is content. What you are providing is actually the bigger driver, and then comes at what price you are providing. So 5 rupiah ka biscuit, 5 rupiah ka chips, these are very easy to buy. But if I give you something worth, but at 15, at 20, at 25, people are showing humongous positive intent towards picking up. So the definition of value is becoming important, and a new way to define it. Authenticity is the new code, and that's why I stressed on the point relevance and credibility. How open, how transparent are you as an organization, as a brand, is becoming important. Of course, experience seeking is important. Many of us would be on Instagram, and we have seen plating, how the food is shown, is becoming more important, is becoming as important about versus what the food is per se. We talked about the positives of digitization. We talked about positives of digital world that we have already entered into. There's also a negative around digital. Unfortunately, both Maggie and Ashirvad faced a lot of issue around this, and especially Ashirvad because the news was completely fake. And I'm sure many of you would have heard about it. And it was a struggle for us at one, and this was the time, I think, last year when we were struggling to convince people that what you are seeing is actually insoluble protein which cannot dissolve in water. And that's the power or the negative power of digital world which it can create. And we, after post that, we have seen so much on the news about fake news and what's happening and some steps government is taking and so on and so forth. Building on that and building on transparency as a core code for various brands, we have seen examples from outside, we have seen examples in the country, and the one on the right, people can become as clear saying this is the cost of making my product and hence I'm charging you X. There are people who have gone to that point, that extremity. Providence stories, ki I have got this thing from such and such place, I processed it in such and such way, which is as natural as it can get, are becoming important conversations with consumers. And these conversations can be driven through source credentials, it can be driven through credible people who are talking about it, and so on and so forth. This is a data to prove how important trust as a parameter has become. The two bubbles on the left indicate, and there's a study done by WPP Kantar in India. This is 2014, not way back. And the two bubbles that you see, the one on the left and the one on the right, the orange and the blue, that's the difference in terms of the size of the average brand value of brands being on the left and the right, brands with very low trust and the brands with very high trust. Hardly a difference in 2014. And look at the change in number in 2018. The brands with very high trust are much larger brands, and the brands which are low on trust are very small brands and are not growing as fast as the large brands. Some of the emerging trends which have yet not become big but are likely to become big as per our opinion. This is also in sync with the sustainability conversations that will probably happen throughout the day, which is about food wastage. There is a huge amount of food wastage that happens in India, and specifically in fruits and vegetables, followed by cereals. And there are lots of attempts being made to utilize this in a better way. So the examples are all international because that's why we are calling this as an emerging trend in the country. But what is being told here through those globe pictures that you see on the slide is that 70% more food would be required by 2050 and almost 100% of what we are growing today by 2100. In fact, what we celebrate something called an Earth Day, if you guys are all aware of it. And every year, that date is coming closer to the January month. That means whatever energy, whatever food, whatever resource we need for the entire year, how quickly have we already consumed it in this year itself? And hence the word sustainability becomes very important. I think in somewhere in August is when we celebrated this last year. Trust, and trust can be built in the way you communicate. Of course, source credentials and people who are talking about are important, but how clean you keep the conversation is also important. There is a new, and this is only probably relevant for the food company or companies, is there is a new element of sensation which is becoming critical, which is about in the vector of textures. So multi-textural food, hot ice cream, hot chocolate with cold ice cream, a hard crust with a very soft gooey mass. These kind of food experiences are becoming interesting to people. They are adopting into them more, and they queue a plethora of stuff. When we are talking about sustainability, we also did a little bit of study to figure out what do people believe today on around, and how important is this anxiety? And I've only shown you the top right quadrant, which is important for us to all take back, is exposure of pollution. And if you have some of these apps, you will see in Delhi, these pollution numbers are in the order of 400, 410, or in Calcutta as well. Very high on pollution. Exposures to poor quality and contamination of food. These are one of the two top points of anxiety among a larger audience. Plastic has become a big conversation. And I think I'll not touch upon this more because we will have a session on this soon. Freshness is a big conversation. Can I have fresh food? Can I have bakeries around me? Do I need cakes to be packaged, or do I need fresh cakes to be bought? Can I have fresh bakeries around me rather than packaged biscuits? And of course, natural has become a big word. And it could be looked at in multiple vectors. This is new age on your left and old fashioned on your right, and it's natural on your top and artificial on your bottom. The entire top is on a growth path. Whether you look at the new age cold pressed juices or enhanced water with vitamins, etc. in it, or you look at the right and we're talking about packaged buttermilk and lassi, chas, but it is natural. That entire segment is growing. There are some new kinds of products where we see huge traction, whether it's flaxseed, quinoa seeds, chia seeds, and so on and so forth. So I bored you a lot with what is happening around, some interesting trends that we think are interesting and can make a difference. But when we look at trends, we also find there is a counter trend to the trend, which is equally big in this country. Let me touch upon a few. There is a trend of the new normal. That means second marriage. We've seen Article 377. There were taboo subject of talking about women health and sanitary health, which is no more taboo today. While there is an equally big counter trend, which is talking about comfort in age-old traditions. We are saying that always as a parent, you feel that you're probably slipping on holding back to some of those core codes that we used to live with and which we used to value. So let me try and explain to you with a few ads to talk about the new normal and then a counter trend example around holding back to Indian traditional values.
It might not be the right time. I might not be the right one. But there's something about us I want to say. 'Cause there's something between us anyway.
A wedding to remember. Tanishq.
So we would have never dreamt of making these advertisements even in 2007 to 10. 7, 8, 9, because these were, we always felt that, oh, I don't know how consumers are going to take my brand if I'm going to talk about these aspects or show these in contexts. But this is thanks to how we have developed as people and evolved as individuals, that these are all acceptable and they have become areas of trend. Let's look at a counter trend example on the same aspect. So these are modern, new value systems that have come into our culture currently. But let's also look at how upholding Indian values have also been used by brands equally well. And a youth brand. Fast track, and this is for bike segment, and there is a use of trend and there is a use of counter trend, and both are successful brands. So there is no one prescription with which you can work. There is an opportunity on both sides of the spectrum. This is about celebrating. I will not talk about westernization again, but the counter trend to westernization is celebrating Desi pride. And let's take an example of
बचपन की यादों को फिर से बहाओ, बड़ी चटपटी हैं ये, फिर से पिलाओ.
Armrests from Paperboat, drinks and memories.
I'll not show you ITC ads, so I don't want to talk about ITC today. So this is one of my favorite brands actually, Paperboat. The way, so we saw about that trend called nostalgia, right? And he said MySpace. You start loving this moment when you're actually thinking about of the past and memories. And brands have been built on this kind of, while a fruit juice brand can talk about breakfast moments, but how many of us really consume juices in breakfast? It's an European a culture code, or it's a culture code in US, but not in India, where we all have our breakfast hot, warm and fresh. We have a cup of coffee or a tea, but we don't drink juices. And in India, the biggest selling juice is actually mango and not the orange that you see outside the country. So it is nothing to do with health, it is to do with taste, it's to do with indulgence. And that's the core code of the country. Going back, while we talked about health, I also talked about indulgence, and I'm not going to talk about that any further. Women are taking charge of this country, and we have enough number of examples around us. And what has happened is that men have actually lost their face in this culture, in this country today, culturally. And we have to probably come back and show our better self in front of the society. And hence there are brands which have been built very, very strongly around women, giving and women empowerment. And again, we spoke about Malur factory where we have 100%, Mysore factory where we have 100% women working. And these conversations are there because of what has happened in the past in India. But in the present, it is that the men actually are not, it's unfortunate that we have actually lost the plot somewhere in the middle, and there needs to be a new face to the man in India going forward. If you guys are okay, or maybe I'm running late on time, let's spend a little bit of time here. The kids today are what we call as kidult. Kids behaving like adults. So they'll come and tell you, you know what, you need, don't throw this here, throw it in the waste paper basket. Hey, we feel very proud as parents. Oh, you know what, good culture. Are being lived through them. ओ तुमको गिटार क्लास जाना है, उसके बाद ड्राइंग क्लास, उसके बाद तुमको ट्यूशन जाना है, और स्विमिंग नहीं हो पाए आज, और क्रिकेट क्लास में नहीं जाना है सैटरडे संडे. सो देर इज आवर ड्रीम्स विच वी आर लिविंग थ्रू देम एंड बिल्डिंग समथिंग कॉल्ड किडल्ट्स. इट इज absolutely about parenting. It is absolutely how we are being taught in school as kids today. But when we talk to kids, we find they're exactly same as we were, and probably the way our parents were. And I'll just show you an example to tell you the kidult part of it and what the kids tell us what they want to be. So before that, first, the way we think they are as kidult. Look at this kid.
कहाँ से चले आते हैं.
सिर्फ 2 पहियों का फर्क है अंकल, आ जाएंगे.
जब इरादों में हो दुगनी चमक तो कपड़ों में क्यों नहीं. आ गया नया रिन, दुगना मैल निकाले और दे दुगनी सफेदी, दुगनी चमक, नया रिन, चमकते रहना.
So that was the example of a kid trying to behave almost like an adult, right? But let's look at it from the lens of the kids. So when we met this, the one that you see on the right is just ITC's manifestation of how the kid looks at his or her world, or wants to look at how his or her world should be.
Wake up, brush teeth, get ready for school, eat breakfast, get the bus, walk into the class, and oh, the teacher did not come today, it's a free period, yay, woohoo, let's play, okay, it's over now, next class.
So teacher not being there in the class has been our dream always.
Math, science, English, school is finished, get the bus back home, sit down, glass of milk. Wait a minute, Papa is back home early, let's play catch it, this was so fun. But now it's time for dal and roti.
I never get the opportunity to see this one because I generally probably end up going home at 10 o'clock. So dad coming back home is a big one. Last one before we move on.
Doing homework, looking outside window,
Sorry.
very bored, staring at wall, knock, 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 who's at the door? It's my cousins, oh my god, I can't believe it's time to play! And now it's late, they all have to go, bye.
So that's how that's exactly how we can visualize a kid. And that's exactly how they have, so they've written these little scrapbooks for us to tell us how their life is and what excites them, what are those small spikes in their life. And when you see those spikes in life, I think everybody, irrespective of the age who's sitting in this room, will feel that these are actually those spikes which we always treasure and used to treasure, and probably we expect our kids to treasure them as well. So they have not changed. It is us who are probably changing the way we are parenting them. These are trends and counter trends, and I said that there is an opportunity for looking at business from either side of the story. And when you do look at, and you keep mining trends and you keep mining counter trends to see where should brands be positioned, to take the business forward, to remain credible, to remain relevant, what we put together is learnings for every, sorry for using the word, target group or segment. What do I mean by them? As marketeers, we actually primarily look at these 4 large segments. They are actually life stages of individuals. So kids, youth, homemaker, and people who have retired, 60 plus. Actually, it's golden ages. They actually lead a much happier life post 60, whether it's the marital life. In fact, there are, when we speak to consumers and when we speak to people, they tell, post 60, when I retired, actually I understood my wife better, which I doubt when I will be able to, but I'm saying that the close, the proximity, the way they live actually becomes far more interesting and enjoyable at 60 plus. So it is not about mortality that they fear, it is of how to maximize life after 60, which becomes the core aim. I cannot touch upon all four. I will just pick up one. And I heard somebody say from there that why is that the dad coming back home, which is a spike in life, and why not the mother coming back home? And we will look at the homemaker a little more in detail. And what I've attempted is I've just put ads together from 70s, 80s to recent past to show how the homemaker has changed in this country. So if you see some very big areas, it's no longer about being uninterested in taking care of herself. It's no more Nirupa Roy. It's about seeking personal space, finding time for self and for family. So the happiness in the family is also happiness along with my personal happiness as well. And that's important to understand. It's no longer about passive acceptance. अरे मैंने खाना बना के लाई टेबल पे, लोगों को अच्छा नहीं लगा तो क्या बोलेंगे? What are they going to tell me? Oh, I need to be, I'm seeking recognition or versus seeking appreciation is the difference that has happened. Mother as a nurturer, she's no more passive. She's not cocooning, protecting, कट गया यहाँ पे, ओहो यहाँ पे ये, let's put this. It's not about cocooning anymore. It's about participating in the kids' world as an equal partner, almost like a friend. Now, almost like a friend is now also becoming a point of anxiety for mothers. Am I becoming too liberal? Are there moments where I need to be a little stricter? So a very nice analogy given by somebody is like saying it's like flying the kite. Nobody flies nowadays, but it's like flying the kite. कहाँ ढील देना है और कितना खींचना है वो देखना चाहिए. Then only the kite is going to fly high. So that's the way they are now looking at parenting. But no more Gyan. I just want to put up this little video for you which tells you how the homemaker has changed over time. Can I have the lights? That's the belly of the country today. And that's how she has shifted over time. I just wanted to put it through advertisement because that's the reflection of how we read into how consumers are changing. But there are some early quick trends as well that while that video talks about perfection, that's a myth now among women. They are saying that there is nothing called perfection. Don't ask me for perfection. Are you perfect as the man of the house? No. So why are you asking for perfection from me? It is I who I am, the way I am, you have to accept. Now this is not restricted to only the homemaker or the lady of the house. In fact, the term homemaker is now more restricted to a gender. The other very big point that is coming up is that she has the choice to focus. These are not given. Currently the ad, the video that you see, it's almost given. People are still expecting a few set of things from her. But the emerging trend is, it is my choice what I want to execute, what I want to do, how I'm going to do it. These are yet to be taken, these are yet conversations which have yet not happened with consumers, but likely movement in this direction. With that I end. Thank you very much. I hope I've been able to give you a glimpse of how India has changed.
Thank you, Shodeep, for this wonderful insights that you gave on the changing Indian consumers and challenges, excitements, the marketing in today's era. May I now request Mr. Amit Ray, Executive Director, Uflex Limited, to talk on sustainable packaging. Sir, over to you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, thank you for calling me here to speak to you and to share with you on a subject we just heard about life. Now we hear something about plastics. All of us know that for the last few years, there's been a huge amount of agitation and cogitation going on about plastics and about sustainability and how we are going to tackle this whole business of littering and handling all the waste that is clogging up our drains, our roads, our water bodies, and so on. Plastics is a very important subject. You cannot survive or you cannot grow without the use of plastics. So it is how we deal with this, how we keep our lands and waterways clean is the subject of today. That is getting everybody's attention. It all started in February 2016 with the waste management rules. Initially, nobody paid attention, nobody took cognizance, but when things started getting tough, then today everybody is associated, involved, and doing something about it. In terms of flexible packaging, the issue is multi-layer packaging. And let me tell you here, that's the key challenge. There's much going around multi-layer packaging, and we have to address that. Extended producers' responsibility will be mandatory, states outlining their own plan, if not guided by the industry collectively. I'll talk a few points on flexible packaging, present challenges in India. Restriction on multi-layer plastic, although let me declare it very firmly and that multi-layer plastic is recyclable. All of multi-layer plastic is recyclable. Deriving new laminate and single material which is easy to segregate and recycle. So everybody now is giving attention and focus to so-called recyclable laminates, which may not be multi-layer, which may be monolayer, and again, the construction of these laminates and materials should make them easily recyclable. And a great deal of work is going on in this area. This leads on to the viability of sustainable alternatives. The sustainable alternatives may not be cheaper, may not be same price, may be more expensive. But that's the direction we have to go. And ultimately, at some stage, perhaps it will equate itself. There is the issue of counterfeiting, big issue in our country, and not only our country. You talk about China, you talk about other countries in South Asia, in many parts of the world. Counterfeiting is a business in itself. It's an occupation in itself, and we have to address that in the world of flexible packaging to which we belong. Compliance to international standards of technology, innovation, and investments. That is relevant to us in India. We've talked enough about, the scale of our economy going forward and so on, and we have to. Innovation now is not a buzzword, it's a keyword. Operational cost optimization, and the problem of margins in the business of flexible packaging is a major issue. This business of flexible packaging, there are huge opportunities for growth. FMCG industries recording to 13 to 14% growth, and flexible packaging is its preferred packaging format. In our company, and I think that is the pattern everywhere, 2/3 of what we produce, some cases it may be more, some cases it may be somewhat less, but on average 2/3 of what we produce goes into food contact application, food packaging application. So that's the importance and relevance of this to what we are discussing today. Food waste reduction through barrier packaging. Shift from rigid to flexible. Pharmaceutical and medical appliances, more and more the conventional pharmaceutical packaging is moving to different forms, advanced forms of flexible packaging. Emergence of new structures, which is easy to segregate and recycle, single material. new applications of recycled material, and a new industry is being created today in India. So emergence of new industry, that is plastic waste recycling. It's not looked at as an activity, it is now being looked at as a business opportunity and an industry in itself. There are various alternatives as a sustainable solution and easy recyclable. I won't bore you with the various specifications. Some of you may not be familiar with this, but it is all, derived as alternatives of special products, special laminates. Either you're down gauging or there is yield gain and single operation, extrusion, recyclable structures, high puncture resistance, then you have yield gain, higher seal strength, stable metal interface bond, again products which are recyclable, suitable for spout pouch, recyclable, easy processing and elimination of PVC. These are just a few examples, but as I said, a lot of work is being done on sustainable solutions, easy recyclability. There's search for an alternative chemistry, biodegradable plastic, oxo-degradable plastic, oxo-biodegradable plastic, compostable plastic, and so on. Natural biodegradable plastics are very few, and fewer are its resources. Its mechanical properties are poorer compared to synthetic polymers. By addition of additives, attempt has been made to make the synthetic polymers biodegradable. However, these are far from replacing synthetic polymers and yet to be established as a means to waste management. And these alternatives are costly. So what is the biggest challenges in plastic recycling? One is heterogeneous substances. Secondly, and the core issue of indiscriminate, unmindful waste disposal, anywhere and everywhere. Contamination of that waste, collection and segregation, plant and machinery for plastic waste recycling, recycling into value-added stream, and limitations in putting back the recycled plastic with virgin plastic. That's also a major issue. But that should not prevent us, because there is enough and more usage opportunities for recycled packaging laminates, multi-layer laminates, recycled plastic, and so on. So what is our next leap? Capital investment on plastic waste recycling, energy recovery from plastic waste, simplified packaging structures, intensified research for biodegradable plastics. Plastic waste can be made value-added. Plastic waste, recycling of plastic waste can be done in various processes, including pyrolysis, including waste-to-energy solutions, and, of course, reuse of the recycled plastics to manufacture various products which are of daily use. Road building, cement kilns. So there's a wide access, and that is why we are having today, although in its nascent stages, but this will gallop, setting up waste recycling centers and intensified research for biodegradable plastics. Having said that, how do the core issue of unmindful waste disposal, this cannot be handled by issuing ordinances and rules and regulations and circulars. This requires a lot of work on building culture, on education. And some beginnings have been made, and this is to be right from primary school. How you handle your waste, how you keep your road, your pavement, how you keep your city, street clean. So how you dispose of waste, there will be disposal. There is much, much more plastic used across the world, and nowhere are there, there may be some odd country here and there, but nowhere is it banned. It's again a question of building cultures and education, and then having the infrastructure to take care of these issues. Now, multi-layer plastic recycling. So we start, how do? You collect the waste. Who collects the waste? In this country, we have a large number of people, let's call them waste collectors. Everybody does everything. Nobody does anything for free. You don't, I don't. Nobody does anything for free. So they have to be remunerated. So they collect. The whole issue of waste segregation then comes in. Now today, with the recycling centers coming up, etc., you don't have to sort of segregate the waste in various forms. You just take out the plastic and you then send it. There are various things from there. You can send it to cement kilns. As I said, waste to energy. Now, the waste, the multi-layer plastic waste can also be shredded, very finely shredded, and that can go into fiber boards manufacturing. You can use that for, things like plastic furniture, cores. Many uses are there. Now, what do you do from the collection center? You then take it to a waste recycling center. And I'll share with you how we are proceeding on this, so as an example to demonstrate what I'm saying. Now this has now been shared with the Central Pollution Control Board, and more, big industry have also moved with this, ITC being one of them, and Unilever, many companies have formed groups to do this. I'll come back to you. There's a short video and I'll show you what is being done. Biodegradable films. Now there lies the ultimate solution. I'll talk about what we are doing. Uflex is well on the way to manufacture 100% biodegradable films. A lot of investment has been made on technology, equipment, and so on. And this will be for polyester film, BOPP film, cast polypropylene, and polyethylene films. Our films will be ready by the end of March or early April. Then you need certification, post-international and domestic certification. We will be in market by May, June this year. Meanwhile, we are speaking to our major customers and booking capacity. Our tests show that biodegradation will start in 6 to 9 months' time, and then initially slowly but accelerating momentum with the passage of time. We are also putting in equipment in our R&D center to study the process of biodegradation. So, in the interim action plan, we as a leader in packaging industry in India are all set to put up a recycling plant for post-consumer plastic. Now, how are we doing this? we've identified the equipment necessary. All action has been taken in ordering the equipment. Right now, we are trying to sort the problem of land. We are awaiting government sanction on land. And so the waste collectors will bring the waste to the recycling center. This is not a part, it is not going to be a part of our plants. Our plants are equipped with recycling waste, our waste, but not, post-consumer waste. So this will be a separate entity, and we are first going to put up a pilot center as where we are located in Noida. That's our base, although we operate across the country, but that's where we will. So this waste collector comes in with the material, and we pay him this amount. We pay him immediately cash, rupees so much per kg of waste brought in. Then we recycle. You wash, you clean, then you recycle, and after that the recycled material is then sold. That's the model that we are doing. Now, we have this video. This is how we recycle. All our plants across the country, they've got recycling facilities. So what we do, we have various forms of handling waste. Firstly, there is incineration. So the recovered heat is used in running our operations, supplement the energy requirements. We have pyrolysis, waste to oil, and that oil is used, sold. And we have this process of converting multi-layer plastic into reusable granules. And so this is we are doing this at every stage. I am happy to say that as the leader in flexible packaging in the country, we have taken all the steps which currently, I believe we are the people who are doing this. I'm sure everybody have to do this and will do so. But converting waste to usable forms. And again, I repeat that recycling industry, as an industry, it is coming up. It will come up in scale, spread across, and that's the solution. If you say, is this solution going to happen in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months? The answer is no. It will take time. It will involve people. And that's the biggest thing. You can put up any amount of centers, but the process has to begin at the beginning, and that is how we handle litter, how we are concerned about this. And of course, what I mentioned, the other thing is the biodegradable plastics and the laminates made out of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much to throw us the light on how the sustainable packaging is going forward to us. It was really a good insight, sir. Mr. Shoydip Banerjee would be likely to leave early, has been told. So we would like to felicitate him. So may I request Nakshatri sir to kindly come on, who is a member of the expert committee of the Agro and Food Processing, to felicitate him, sir.
It was a very nice presentation you gave. We enjoyed as a consumer. Yes, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Now may I request Mr. Ashraf Ahmad to address on the plastic waste management. He is the head plastic waste manager from ITC Limited, sir. So over to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And I thank you, BCIC, to giving me this opportunity to present here. This solid waste management program, like WOW, well-being out of waste, and an initiative by ITC, CSR initiative. Whatever we thought about from the morning, we are discussing about the packing, and the product. The product is, if you don't pack product properly, so product is not, give you much value or, attraction. Whatever you do, biggest ad, best ad, beautiful ad. But customer when goes in the stores, once he see the pack, if not impressed, he will not, take to home. So the solid waste management, it's there in our, in India, like we are talking about this from 1999. The first rules, solid waste management rules have come 1999. Just talking about that, we have to ban below 20 micron. Then after that 20 micron they ban, just they said 20 micron, below 20 micron should not be any packing should come, that's all. Not much rules given, not given, this is only given to municipal corporation to the manage. Then after that, again 2000 they said 20 microns is not recycling, we are not able to recycle, so that 40 microns is they have put the limit. Again, they also not given much specification. They have only given municipal corporation to handle, but still we are finding, today also we find around 10 micron plastics also. So let's see what is the journey like, what is our MSW like. So if in India, MSW, if it's a scenario, like we have 62 million tons per annum we are generating the waste in our country. That means more than, out of the 62 million, more than 80% waste is going into landfill. Okay. And we required to put this, landfill around 1,200 acres land required every year. That means equivalent to one. Chandigarh is the biggest city. So every 9 years we required one Chandigarh city. So just imagine, like if you go like this only another 100 years or another 50 years, where we live, where we'll do this kind of conferences, So where our children, play. And if you see what is this waste, what we are, throwing into the, landfill and all, out of which like 42% is organic waste, which is we can easily compost, and 40% is inerts. The inerts is like debris, ash, construction waste, demolition waste, all this road waste, this kind. Then 6% is paper. 8% others is glass bottles and all, tires, tubes, all this. Then 4% is the plastics, which is we are talking about we are worried about, too much we are worrying about. Just 4%. But what we are doing, we are mixing everything and just putting into the landfill. And it's becoming a big bomb. And we are living in our surrounding, every city is having a big bomb. And putting everything, mixing and throwing. And what we are doing is, most of our recycling companies in India, importing the waste. Okay. Importing the waste, around $70,000 million waste we are importing from other countries. We are throwing our resources into the landfill and we are bringing from other countries waste in our country. Then MSW rules, if you take 2000, after the 2016, it's different. Between 2000 and 2016, a lot of change have come. In 2016 rules, they talk about source segregation and EPR. Then they have given municipal solid waste management rule 2016 mein, the types of segregation need to be done, responsibilities, bulk generators, what is the responsibility of the bulk generators, what is the responsibility of the industries, all that. But poor compliance because of poor source segregation, then adequate training to the waste collectors and corporations, municipal bodies, and poor infrastructure. Then plastic waste, if you see, plastic waste management rules 2016 says, one, introduce EPR, extended producer's responsibility. Then environmental management till end of life, like any product you are developing, like if you say e-waste or plastic waste, so you have to see that till end of the life you have to take care of the product. Then producers, brand owners' responsibility have also given very open clearly. Then emphasize recycling on plastics as per the 14534 IS. Then alternative usage of road, whatever the plastics which is not recyclable, the alternatives, they have to either energy recovery or send for the kill, like cement factories and all using as a energy recovery. Then they have given 2016 the non-recyclable multi-layer plastics 2 years time to phase out the non-recyclable plastics and go for the single layer or go for the which recycled plastics. But still again the industries did a lot of lobby with the Central Pollution Control Board and all, taken some more time for that. All these actually what we are talking. So, but the solution is, what I'm saying is, the only solution is what we found from ITC 2007, we started this project, Well-Being Out of Waste. This project keeping all this in mind to how to manage the plastics, how to manage the waste, how to manage the waste management. So we started doing research from 2007 and started small pilot projects. Now its project is very big. Then we created some objectives of the project, like better environment, hygiene, and reduce landfill. Then to educate citizens on source segregation and recyclable, wet and dry waste, recyclable waste. Then creating a sustainable livelihood to waste handlers. And our approach is collaborate with the ULBs and NGOs, then coordinate with the recycle units, educate school children, corporates, government employees, then creating social entrepreneurs and sustainable business models out of it. Our presence, if you see here, we started Delhi, Muzaffarpur. It's every area is a different model. Delhi, Muzaffarpur. In Andhra Pradesh, we have almost 4 to 5 districts. Then Telangana, mostly 9 districts we are working. And Bangalore, Mysore. Then Chennai, Coimbatore, and nearby Coimbatore small cities. And Pune, we are starting this year, Pune and Bhubaneswar.